Few rappers in hip-hop have evolved with as much grit, clarity, and purpose as Killer Mike. From his explosive guest verse on Outkast's Stankonia to his Grammy-sweeping solo resurgence with Michael, Mike Bigger has carved out a lane that bridges Southern street wisdom, revolutionary politics, and unapologetic authenticity. His discography spans decades, labels, and sonic reinventions, each album revealing another layer of a complex, commanding voice. Whether trading bars with trap legends, dissecting American power structures, or preaching from the pulpit of black liberation, Killer Mike has consistently proven himself a force in rap. This CT ranking dives into his catalog to explore the highs, the misfires, and the legacy of one of the most compelling MCs of his generation. If this type of content is your bag, make sure to check out our Patreon for bonus joints. Also, tap into our Discord to join the community, and peruse that website one time to check out our merch. We appreciate the support in advance. Without further ado, let's get to it. Number 8, I Pledge Allegiance to the Grind. Killer Mike's I Pledge Allegiance to the Grind is not just a return, it's a reinvention. After his second album was shelved by Sony, this self-released double album marks a great leap forward in both artistry and intent. On Monster, Mike was a hungry newcomer backed by Outkast. Here, he's the self-proclaimed leader of the gang, rallying his grind time crew on his label. The most glaring proof of his growth is That's Life, a scathing piece of social commentary that finds Mike unflinchingly calling out powerful black elites and systemic neglect. Quote, George Bush don't like blacks, no shit Sherlock, and his daddy, CIA, had flooded the hood with rock, end quote. Mike fuses his upbringing on Martin Luther King Jr. Drive with his Morehouse education to deliver razor-sharp insight and unapologetic fury. Tracks like Coming Home Atlanta and Deuces Wild display his ability to make gangster rap vivid, cinematic, and at times darkly humorous. Nigga holding out, where the brick at? It's at your mama house, he says on Deuces, dodging bullets and junkies in a real-life thriller set to a bass-heavy beat. Mike's greatest strength lies in turning street life into raw poetic narrative without diminishing its consequences. But for all its highlights, I Pledge Allegiance is bloated. Clocking in at nearly 2 hours, the double disc format wears thin, especially when padded with uninspired features from lesser grind time affiliates. Tracks like GTRG and What the Business Is are weighed down by underwhelming guest verses that distract from Mike's superior presence. Mike's charisma and skill deserves sharper, more refined company. The best moment come when he's solo or paired with equals like Big Boy or A-Ball and MJG. On Juggernaut, Kryptonite, and You Don't Want This Life, Mike sounds unstoppable. His punchlines are mean, clever, and often laugh out loud funny. He keeps the energy up with trunk-rattling production and quotable bars that fuse menace with wit. Still, the album is a major artistic stride. Mike sounds emboldened, no longer tethered to Outkast's orbit, but defining his own vision. As Killer Mike reflected on this LP in his interview with The Village Voice in 2008, he said, quote, "So was I Pledge Allegiance to the Grind totally cohesive? No, but it cohesively got my point across that I'm here, that I'm independent of this is what I'm doing," end quote. Number 7, Pledge. Pledge is a rarity in the digital age, an album from 2011 that feels like it was swallowed by the internet itself. Despite only being a decade and some change old, it's nearly impossible to find through traditional streaming services, making physical purchase or obscure corners of the internet your best bet. Yet this difficulty adds to its mystique. When you finally press play, what you hear is nothing short of electric. This is Killer Mike's first and only release under T.I.'s Grand Hustle label, and the jump in production is immediately apparent. The production credits across the album, Smith & Cash, The Beat Bullies, No ID, Flying Lotus, and Raz of the Beat Billionaires, read like a who's who of 2010's beat makers, and it shows in the polish. Yet despite the star power, Mike's strongest moments are when he's left alone with his thoughts and rage. The mastering is sleek, the beats knock hard, and Mike's voice sound enormous. His presence practically bursts through the speakers. Pledge is the culmination of Mike's grind up to this point, and the first half of the album is a thunderous statement. So Glorious opens with fiery intent, produced by Smith & Cash, whose cinematic beat gives Mike a pulpit from which to deliver his manifesto. That's Life 2 is equally sharp, tackling social ills with wordplay so pointed it cuts. On Ric Flair, Mike struts like the wrestler it's named after, delivering flamboyant, crushing bars over another booming Smith & Cash beat. Then comes Go Out of the Town with Young Jeezy, the album's club banger, a glitzy anthem that still packs that streetwise Mike energy. and Ready Set Go remix unites Southern Titans Big Boy and T.I. in a show of strength that feels like a victory lap. But once the album hits track 9, the momentum dips sharply. Animal featuring Gucci Mane sounds like a label compromise, a standard trap record that lacks Mike's usual spark. From there, tracks like Player's Lullaby, Everything, and Swimming drag the project down with uninspired hooks and beats that feel generic. Pledge may not be perfect, but it's a snapshot of Killer Mike operating at full force with major label muscle behind him. It's not entirely far-fetched to wonder if Pledge's near disappearance from the internet was deliberate. On That's Life 2, Killer Mike calls out Jay-Z for cozying up to billionaire Warren Buffett, rapping, "Think about it. What's a rapper standing next to Warren Buffett? Ha ha ha, now you niggas are properly enlightened." That kind of bold critique, paired with jabs at 50 Cent and even President Obama elsewhere on the album, meant Mike wasn't just making music, he was making powerful enemies. For an album released under a major label umbrella, it's suspicious how thoroughly it's been scrubbed. Anyway, let's take off the tinfoil hat for now. Number 6, Ghetto Extraordinary. Ghetto Extraordinary is one of the most infamous what could have been moments in early 2000s hip-hop. The story behind Ghetto Extraordinary is one of industry mishandling, timing, and creative independence. Originally meant to be Mike's debut release on Big Boy's Purple Ribbon imprint under Sony, the album was derailed after the underperformance of its lead single My Chrome, and a music video, directed by Hype Williams, was rejected by major networks like BET and MTV for content-related reasons. Quote, BET said they didn't have a problem with the smoke being blown in the video, but they wouldn't show the polls. MTV said they wouldn't show the smoke in the video, but they would show the pole, end quote, Mike explained in an interview with XXL. Frustrated, Mike found himself caught between label politics and shifting promotional priorities, all while trying to carve out his own lane beyond the Outcast. Adding to the friction was Mike's desire to establish his own crew, Grind Time Rap Gang, which conflicted with the Purple Ribbon brand Sony hoped to push. Ghetto Extraordinary was eventually made available for streaming on hiphopdx.com in 2008, giving fans a long-awaited chance to hear the shelved project in its near-complete form. The album's standout, Mama Said, is a heart-wrenching look into life in the hood and the hard-earned wisdom passed down through generations. Mike's voice is strained with emotion as he raps about survival, trauma, and love. Another highlight, going back to Ghana, finds Mike at his most conceptually ambitious. He flips the names of African revolutionaries into a series of metaphors that reflect on power, legacy, and black diasporic identity. The track feels both historical and personal, tackling the complexity of returning to one's roots when home was stolen generations ago. Thematically, Ghetto Extraordinary is rich and varied, touching on black identity, systematic oppression, family, and hustle. But the production often doesn't do the writing justice. Because the album never got in its final studio polish, some beats sound muddy and unfinished, and the overall mix lacks cohesion. At times, tracks feel like demos with incredible verses trapped in lo-fi purgatory. Rough around the edges? Yes, but Ghetto Extraordinary proves Killer Mike was already something rare. A street poet with vision, voice, and volume. Number 5, Songs for Sinners and Saints. Killer Mike's unexpected arrest just moments after winning 3 Grammy Awards in 2024 became an instant symbol of his ongoing tension with the systems he critiques. While he was ultimately cleared of any charges, the image of Mike being escorted out in handcuffs on the biggest night of his career was a stark reminder that no amount of accolades can fully insulate a black man, especially one as outspoken as Mike, from confrontation with authority. As he raps on Humble Me, referencing the incident directly, his pain and pride collide. The arrest didn't humble him, it refueled him. That chip on his shoulder, the one that's powered decades of defiant bars and truth-telling, isn't going anywhere. Killer Mike's Songs for Sinners and Saints is the sound of a man taking a well-earned victory lap after sweeping the 2024 Grammys. With a gospel choir behind him called the Mighty Midnight Revival, Mike returns with a defiant, reflective, and soulful follow-up. This project is short but powerful, designed more as an extension of Michael than a completely new body of work. Many of the songs here are remixes or reinterpretations, but they're no less potent. Tracks like Lord Prepare Me, 9736 Freestyle, and Nobody Knows stand out with lush production and deeply spiritual undertones that maintain Mike's gospel-inflicted intensity. Offset and Blast add weight to Exit 9, while the presence of Anthony Hamilton on Nobody Knows enriches the album's gospel core. The musicality is crisp and elevated throughout, with production credits from heavyweights like the Honorable C-Note, DJ Paul, and Cuz Lightyear. However, the album's second half wavers. Slumber for Junkies drags for over 10 minutes and struggles to justify its length despite its compelling story. Similarly, Had to Go Get It feels like more of a sketch than a finished track. Still, the high points outweigh the missteps and the album serves its purpose well. Mike proves that he's aging like fine wine, sharpening his delivery and insight with each release. This album may not surpass Michael in scope, but it confirms that Killer Mike's second wind is here to stay. Number 4, Monster. Killer Mike's Monster is an extremely strong debut by an MC who's clearly spent years sharpening his pen and perfecting his voice, even if that voice hadn't quite found its own frequency just yet. The Atlanta native born Michael Render came up between the streets of Adamsville and the care of his grandparents in Collier Heights, and you can hear both the grit and guidance in his bars. Having cut his teeth alongside Outkast, most notably on their Grammy-winning single The Whole World, Mike enters Monster with undeniable talent and a cosign few artists ever dream of. The album kicks off with Monster Intro, featuring Big Rube, setting the tone with poetic fire and a southern gothic mood. From there, Mike dives into the thunderous title track and then Action, which leans heavily on the Outkast formula, right down to the stutter step delivery and dirty funk production. It's effective, but it also highlights a reoccurring issue across the album. Killer Mike, while fiercely talented, is still operating in Outkast's shadow. That said, when he breaks free, he really breaks free. Tracks like Rap is Dead find him channeling his frustration with the industry into raw, barbed verses that challenge the rap status quo. Raised by a florist mother and a policeman father who were still teens when he was born, Mike's lyrics reflect a blend of tenderness and toughness. On All For You, Niecy's song, he honors his roots with a heartfelt tribute that still carries the stomp of street life. Adidas, featuring Big Boy and Sleepy Brown, is a runaway single that proves Mike can handle fun just as well as fury. But it's Scared Straight and Home of the Brave that offer the most personal glimpses into Mike's worldview, equal parts cautionary tale and proud AT-alien. Throughout Monster, Mike's syrupy drawl and fast-footed wordplay make clear he's more than just a protege. Songs like You Know I Love You and Reaction Remix show a hunger to experiment but often feel like satellite orbits around the Outkast planet. Still, that hunger is real and it's one of the album's greatest assets. There's no mistaking the ambition in Mike's rhymes, like when he boasts, quote, "My rhymes are diamonds dug out of a mine, spit 'em, polished, look how they shine," end quote. You believe him because the glow is blinding. Number 3, I Pledge Allegiance to the Grind 2. By the time Pledge 2 dropped in 2008, Killer Mike was done with trying to fit into the industry's mold. After being burned by label politics and pushed to the margins of the mainstream, Mike went fully independent and used this album as his vehicle to both reflect and revolt. The result is his most cohesive and focused work to that point, an album that captures his sharpened worldview and refuses to water himself down. On his 4th album, he's not preaching policy, he's laying out lived experience, structural critique, and southern pride. God in the Building is a cornerstone moment on the album. It's not just a reinterpretation of religion, it's an unflinching statement that black divinity matters. Mike strips away the sanitized image of whitewashed gospel and replaces it with hard truths born in the South, layered over B-Don's brooding, minimal beat. Two Sides is another peak where Mike goes directly at the fake industry personas flooding Atlanta rap. It's not just about defending the culture, it's about cleansing it. He demands that those who claim the city actually represent it, not profit off it while disrespecting its roots. Pressure with Ice Cube is pure fury. Mike raps like someone with nothing to lose and everything to say, declaring boldly that he fears, quote, neither Osama nor George W., end quote. In Cube, a clear influence is the perfect complement. Look, Mike's voice on the album is fully his own, aggressive, thoughtful, and commanding. He moves from righteous anger to quiet reflection without losing momentum. When he's talking about systematic injustice or just rapping his ass off, the intent is the same, authenticity above all. What makes Grind 2 stand out in Killer Mike's catalog is that it's the first time his artistic identity feels fully intact. He's political without being corny, street without being reductive, and deeply southern without pandering to cliches. It's not a perfect record, some hooks are thin and a few tracks don't land as hard as others, but there's a spirit running through the album that you can't fake. Whether he's talking about religion, war, gentrification, or growing up black in the South, he makes you feel every word. I Pledge Allegiance was the turning point. The politics got sharper, the beats got meaner, and the voice behind it all, finally completely his own. Number 2, Rap Music. Rap Music is the album that transformed Killer Mike's career. After years of grinding through the underground and navigating industry setbacks, teaming up with producer R.A.P gave Mike the sharp, new edge he needed. The collaboration brought national attention and a sonic reinvention that framed his political voice in a bolder, more expansive way. This album is a direct confrontation with injustice, corruption, and historical trauma. Tracks like Reagan dissect American imperialism and the war on drugs with such clarity that they still circulate heavily in online political discourse. Don't Die feels even more urgent in today's climate of police violence, and Ghetto Gospel offers reflection without softening the rage. Songs like Untitled with Scar keep the revolutionary energy grounded in black spiritual history and legacy. Mike sounds genuinely free here, liberated from the boundaries of major label expectations. His delivery is ferocious but never forced, and his presence feels massive across every track. The only drawback for longtime fans is that this album mostly sheds the southern gangster grit that defined Mike's earlier work. Gone are the trap beats and bass-heavy anthems of the grind time era. In their place is a more avant-garde, experimental sound that leans closer to Def Jux than Dungeon Family. But what might be a loss of one style is the gain of another. Mike's lyrics have always been political, but on rap music they gain a clarity and impact that cuts through the revolutionary force. The beats push him into new territory and he rises to meet them at every turn. Mike is no longer just repping Atlanta, he is speaking for everyone who feels crushed beneath the weight of the system. This is not just one of Mike's best albums, it's one of the most important rap albums of the last decade. Rap music is angry, fearless, and visionary. It turned a respected southern rapper into a national voice for resistance. Number 1, Michael. Killer Mike's Michael was not the biggest commercial success of 2023, but it will be remembered as one of the most culturally important albums of the decade. On a historic night for Southern hip-hop in 2024, Killer Mike walked away with 3 Grammy Awards for this project: Best Rap Album, Best Rap Song, and Best Rap Performance, cementing his place in the canon of rap legends. Beating out heavyweight albums by the likes of Drake in 21, Metro Boomin, Nas, and Travis Scott, Michael stood out not with chart-topping hits, but with soul, depth, and a sound steeped in craft. On an album without skips, its crown jewel, Scientists and Engineers, featuring Andre 3000 and Future, took home Best Rap Song and Best Rap Performance. The track itself feels like a spiritual successor to the Dungeon Family sound. A swirling, layered masterpiece that blends trap, gospel, and soul without ever losing its message. These wins weren't just personal triumphs. They were a seismic moment for the South and a declaration that real, unfiltered hip-hop still has a seat at the table in the 2020s. Across the board, Michael offers no dead weight. From the thunderous opening of Down by Law to the reflective closer High and Holy, the album is a cohesive journey. Each track is meticulously layered, both lyrically and musically. Mike's voice, gravelly, commanding, and deeply emotional, guides listeners through personal histories, social critiques, and declarations of self-worth. It's autobiographical and universal at once. Production from No ID, DJ Paul, Cool and Dre, and the collective energy of the album's contributors feel monumental. Every feature lands. Whether it's the soulful singing of Aaron Allen Kane on Motherless, the slick talk from underground kings like Currency on Spaceship Views, or melodies from Maestro Ty Dolla $ign, each artist shows up with intention and adds to the vision. Sonically, Michael is expansive. It embraces gospel choirs, blues rhythms, soul harmonies, boom bap, and futuristic trap without falling into any one category. It is a Southern album at its core, yes, but it's also an American album, dare we say, the long-awaited great American rap album. This project isn't just about Killer Mike's evolution. It's for those who have long been told that substance can't sell or will be overlooked. 30 years after Andre 3000 stood on the Source Award stage and declared the South had something to say, Killer Mike said it. Atlanta, it's a sweep. If the Dungeon Family sound is your bag, don't worry, we got you covered. Make sure to check out our rankings of Outkast albums as well as Goody Mob's. And again, tap into that Patreon for bonus content and hit that link in the description to shop our merchandise. We appreciate the support as always. Till the next time, it's your man CJ for CT. I'm out.